Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking the systematic methodology from the famous Little Red book, It Works. Look, I want you to think of your brain as not just some biological organ, but literally the most advanced piece of hardware on the entire planet. And today, we're going to learn exactly how to write the software for it.
So, let's dive right in with a pretty crucial question. If our minds are so incredibly powerful, why do we so often find ourselves stuck in circumstances we don't actually want? I mean, why do we experience financial stress, unfulfilling relationships, or just this general lack of purpose if we supposedly have the ultimate power to change it?
Well, the answer really lies in how our brain is divided up. You've got the conscious mind, which is the rational decision maker, and then you have the subconscious mind. That's the automatic operating system doing the real heavy lifting to drive your daily reality. Think of your conscious mind as the user sitting at the keyboard, but your subconscious mind? That is the code running silently in the background. Most of our behaviors, our deepest beliefs about how reality actually works, our self-esteem, it's all subconscious. And here's the kicker. If you aren't actively programming it yourself, it's just running on default settings that you probably didn't even choose.
So, to systematically rewrite your mental code, we're going to follow a clear, four-step roadmap today. First, programming your subconscious mind. Second, the power of specificity. Third, 3 rules for accomplishment. And fourth, cultivating unshakable faith.
Okay, let's jump straight into Section 1, programming your subconscious mind and taking control of that code.
Reality essentially operates on a very strict cause and effect loop. If you don't consciously choose your inputs, the external world is just going to automatically write the code for you, and that leads to outputs you never asked for. Just think about the information you consume on a daily basis. The news, endless social media feeds, the unsolicited opinions of skeptical friends. All of that is input. Your subconscious mind absorbs this input and generates your output, which literally becomes your reality. So if you want to change the output, you absolutely must take control of the input through conscious goal setting.
The author Thomas J. Hudson actually refers to this subconscious power as Emmanuel, or the God in us. It's this willing mechanism constantly working behind the scenes to manifest your deeply programmed thoughts. Now, whether you want to call it infinite intelligence, the universe, or just pure neuroplasticity, this power is eager to serve you. It's fully capable of bringing any earnest desire to a perfect conclusion. But there is a catch. It needs incredibly clear instructions.
Which brings us right to Section 2, the power of specificity, or writing the exact code.
The core rule here is, if you know what you want, you can have it. But occasional, half-hearted wishing, that is never going to be enough to form a proper connection with your subconscious. Millions of people out there are just, thoughtless wishers, walking around saying things like, I want to be rich, or I want to be happy. That is way too vague. It's kind of like typing, give me a good time into a GPS. The system has absolutely no idea where to route you. You literally have to sit down and decide exactly what it is you want.
Let me give you an example. Say you want a car. You cannot just write down a car, because if you do, the universe might hand you a rusted-out 1998 sedan with no brakes. You have to list the make, the style, the price, the exact color, and the specific date you want it by. You are giving the subconscious an unambiguous, laser-focused target to lock onto. If it's a house you're after, plan the structure, the grounds, the neighborhood, the exact cost. If you're in sales, write down the exact dollar amount you want to make, the deadline, and the precise number of items you need to sell to hit that target. You have got to write the exact code.
All right, now that you've got your list, let's move to Section 3, 3 rules for accomplishment. This is your execution plan. Execution ultimately comes down to these 3 surprisingly simple yet fiercely effective rules. You have to follow them daily until your goal is complete. Think of this as the required daily maintenance for your brand new mental software. Let's break each of these down so we can really understand why they work.
Rule 1 is to read your list morning, noon, and night, and you need to use positive affirmations like I am. Notice that emphasis on the positive. The subconscious mind is essentially a sponge. It simply accepts information and it cannot differentiate between a positive or a negative instruction. If you say, I am not going to be poor, your subconscious literally just zeroes in on the word poor. Instead, you absolutely must phrase your detailed list in the affirmative. Read it morning, noon, and night. This constant rhythmic repetition forces that new code right into your operating system.
Rule 2 is to think about what you want often. To really satisfy this, the source material leans into Neville Goddard's famous advice to assume the wish fulfilled. This means you don't just sit around pining for it, you actively visualize and, more importantly, emotionalize what it feels like to have it right this second. That intense emotion acts as a powerful catalyst. It signals to your subconscious that, hey, this isn't just some daydream, this is an absolute non-negotiable priority.
And Rule 3, do not talk to anyone about your plan. This acts as your ultimate mental firewall. Because look, sharing your massive goals with anyone other than your own inner self is basically rolling out the red carpet for their skepticism to enter your mind, which effectively breaks your carefully constructed programming. When you tell a casual friend about a huge specific goal, they usually project their own limitations right onto you, and their doubts can easily slip into your subconscious and corrupt your code. So unless you're talking to a dedicated mastermind group that is 100% aligned with your vision, keep your mouth shut and just rely on your inner power.
Which perfectly sets up our final section, Section 4, Cultivating Unshakable Faith to Keep That Firewall Strong.
Now, a quick reality check here. You are not expected to have perfect, unwavering belief right from the start. Honestly, it's completely normal to write down some massive goal and feel like a total fraud on day one. Instead, you build that belief using something called auto-suggestion, and that is simply using repetition designed to deliberately manufacture faith. Your faith is literally built brick by brick through the daily practice of reading your list and visualizing your success. As Napoleon Hill so famously put it in Think and Grow Rich, faith is the head chemist of the mind. Faith is the actual catalyst that translates your raw thoughts into their physical equivalent. And here's the best part. It eventually unfolds the exact method for your success without you having to figure the whole thing out in advance. You don't need to know every single step of the how. The method of accomplishment is going to unfold to you as intuitive nudges, new ideas, and sudden, unexpected opportunities. But again, that only happens after the foundation of faith has been established.
Of course, inevitable doubts and hesitations are going to strike. When they do, you have to actively combat them. You pull out your list right then and there. Seriously, you cannot let a negative thought just sit in your mind untreated. If you catch yourself starting to question how on earth you'll ever afford that specific car or hit that crazy sales quota, stop whatever you are doing. Pull out your list and overwrite that buggy negative code with your positive visualization until the doubt completely vanishes.
On top of that internal work, you have to strictly filter your external inputs. This means curating your environment, choosing your friends very carefully, and associating mostly with people who actually support your vision. If you find yourself hanging out in an environment that just breaks your spirit or drains your energy, recognize that for what it is, contrary programming. You might even find yourself naturally drifting away from certain friendships or old habits as you apply this method. Let me be clear, that isn't a loss. That is a sure indication of real progress.
And a great piece of advice for getting started, accomplish the lesser things first. Start small with a single, manageable goal just to learn how this whole creation process feels. It's exactly like planting a seed. You don't sit there overanalyzing how a single tiny grain of corn in the dirt magically produces hundreds of new grains. You just trust the process. Prove this to yourself with a smaller goal first. Master that feeling of creation, and then step up and apply it to your grandest life objectives.
So, as we wrap up this explainer today, I want to leave you with a profound, lingering question drawn straight from the text. Just reflect on this. Others have these things, so why not you? Seriously, take a look around. Someone out there right now is living the exact life you want, driving the exact car you want, running the exact business you dream of. And they are absolutely no different than you, except for the programming running in their subconscious mind. Well, you now have the blueprint. The only question left is, what are you going to program next?